Welcome, and thank you for your support for the Advocates for Human Rights, and for coming here to help us celebrate our 30th anniversary. Like the leaders whose words you'll hear tonight, the Advocates envisions a world in which every person lives with dignity, freedom, justice, equality, and peace. We believe that every person has a part to play in building respect for human rights and building the human rights movement.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds me and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. Nelson Mandela.
Few will have the greatness to bend the history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events, and in the total of all these acts will be written the history of this generation. Robert F. Kennedy.
It is from numberless, diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a person stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. Robert F. Kennedy.
When I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Think of it, always. Mahatma Gandhi.
The moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls. Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
The Funeral of Martin Luther King Jr. by Nikki Giovanni. His headstone said, "Free at last, free at last." But death is a slave's freedom. We seek the freedom of free men in construction of a world where Martin Luther King could have lived and preached nonviolence.
Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. Martin Luther King Jr.
Within a system which denies the existence of basic human rights, fear tends to be the order of the day. Fear of imprisonment, fear of torture, fear of death, fear of losing friends, family, property, or means of livelihood. Yet even under the most crushing state machinery, courage rises up again and again, for fear is not the natural state of civilized man. Aung San Suu Kyi. If you're feeling helpless, help someone. Aung San Suu Kyi.
The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Gloria Steinem.
So when you spot violence or bigotry or tolerance or fear or just garden variety misogyny, hatred or ignorance, just look it in the eye and think. The good outnumber you, and we always will. Patton Oswalt.
I have met brave women who are exploring the outer edge of human possibility with no history to guide them and with a courage to make themselves vulnerable that I find moving beyond words. Gloria Steinem.
A Mother in a Refugee Camp by Chinua Achebe. No Madonna and child could touch her tenderness for a son that she would soon have to forget. The air was heavy with odors of diarrhea, of unwashed children with washed out ribs and dried up bottoms, waddling in labored steps behind blown empty bellies. Other mothers there had long ceased to care, but not this one. She held a ghost smile between her teeth, and in her eyes, the memory of a mother's pride. She had bathed him and rubbed him down with bare palms. She took from their bundle of possessions a broken comb and combed the rust-colored hair left on his skull. And then, humming in her eyes, began carefully to part it. In their former life, this was perhaps a little daily act of no consequence before his breakfast and school. Now, she did it like putting flowers on a tiny grave.
Declaration of Sentiments, Seneca Falls Convention of 1848. Now In view of this entire disfranchisement of one half the people of this country, their social and religious degradation, in view of the unjust laws above mentioned, and because women do feel themselves aggrieved, oppressed, and fraudulently deprived of their most sacred rights, we insist that they have immediate admission to all the rights and privileges which belong to them as citizens of these United States.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. It is for us, the living, to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln.
In August 2010, heavy rains in Amsterdam toppled the diseased, rotted 170-year-old chestnut tree that towered over the building in which Anne Frank and her family hid during World War II. The tree had cheered Anne and was one of her only connections to nature and the outside world during her hiding. As she wrote in her diary on February 23rd, 1944.
From my favorite spot on the floor, I look up at the blue sky and at the bare chestnut tree, on whose branches little raindrops shine, appearing like silver, and at the seagulls and other birds as they glide on the wind. As long as this exists, I thought, and I may live to see it, this sunshine, the cloudless skies. While this lasts, I cannot be unhappy.
Cuttings were taken from Anne's tree and are being planted in countries around the world. 11 of the saplings will take root in the United States and will serve as a living memorial to Anne, who wrote,
How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank.
I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. You used to rock me in the cradle of your arms. You said you'd hold me till the pains of life were gone. You said you'd come
We have spoken of hope. Go and live as people infected with the fever of hope. We have spoken of dignity. Search out and find the dignity in everyone you meet, and in so doing, find your own. We have spoken of freedom. Surrender your freedom to no man or woman or institution. We have spoken of love. Let love course through you like a mighty river and soften you like a spring rain. And we have spoken of peace. Go and live as people blessed with the peace of the Almighty One, the Holy One, who made you and cares for you and is always with you. Go in peace.
Make a better place.